Sandeep, we are good to start. Sandeep, kindly unmute and start. Hello. Leena, I think you can start. Sandeep.
Hello.
Sandeep.
Hello, can I start?
Yeah,
Yeah.
please.
Yes,
Please.
Sandeep.
Please.
Yeah, good day, friends. This is Sandeep Dotre from Rotary Club of Thane Titans, Charter President of Rotary Club of Thane Titans, District 3142. It's good day, good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all of you, right? Because we have people from all over the world. First of all, I welcome today's guest speaker, Chief PRID Valerie Wafer from District 7080, the DEI Chair of Rotary International for the current Rotary year 2023, who will be speaking on the subtopic of diversity, equity, and inclusion. I also welcome today's chief guest and our beloved Fab District Governor Kailash Jethani for our District 2. I welcome Dr. Leena Lokeras, Principal Aide DEI for the Fab year for our District 3142. Now I would like to welcome the co-host clubs. Clubs and their presidents. So I welcome President Sagar Aswani of Rotary Club of Thane Riverside and its members. I welcome President Rushad Bora of Rotary Club of Thane Creekside and its members. I welcome Club President Amit Vittal Hanamgar of Rotary Club of Navi Mumbai, Palm Beach and its members. I welcome President Shankar Bhagat of Rotary Club of Thane, Godbanda Road and its members. I welcome President Jinesha of Rotary Club of Thane East and its members. I welcome President Reet Kumar of Rotary Club of Thane Imperials and its members. I welcome Club President Ajay Kulkarni of Rotary Club of Dombivli Midtown and its members. I welcome Club President Deepa Iyer of Rotary Club of Linktown, Airoli and its members. I welcome President Jalaja Menon of Rotary Club of Thane, Albania and its members. I welcome Club President Dr. Sushma Tomar of Rotary Club of Ulhasnagar and its members. I welcome President Manish Wadhwa of Rotary Club of Ulhasnagar Sapna Garden and its members. I also welcome all the Rotarians, dignitaries, their families and guests attending today's important meeting. Now I request President Sagar Aswani of Rotary Club of Thane Riverside to read the four-way test.
Thank you, Sandeep ji, for giving me an opportunity. We start with the four ways of the Rotary test. The first, is it the truth? Second, it is fair to all the concerned. Third, will it be the build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all the concerns? Thank you so much, Sandeep, for giving me opportunity.
Yeah, thank you, President Sagar. Now I would like to request President Manish Wadhwa of Rotary Club of Ulhasnagar Sapna Garden to read the objects of Rotary. Manish ji.
What is the objects of Rotary?
Is Manish there?
Yeah.
Yeah, Manish.
Manish, kindly unmute. Manish.
Thank you so much, Vijay ji. I would first of all, good evening to all. I would like to read the objects of the Rotary. The object of Rotary is to encourage and foster the ideal of service as a basis of worthy enterprise, and in particular to encourage and foster the development of acquaintance as an opportunity for service. Second, high ethical standards in business and professions, the recognition of the worthiness of all the useful occupations and dignifying of each Rotarian's occupation as an opportunity to serve society. The application of the ideal of service in each Rotarian's personal, business, and community life. the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace through a world fellowship of business and professional persons united in the ideal of service. Thank you so much.
Thank you, President Manish. Now I would request convener of today's meeting, our DEI chair, Dr. Leena Lokras, to take over the proceedings and welcome today's chief guest.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Yeah.
First of all, let me welcome all of you, but especially past RI Director Valerie for having spared time and to speak to us on this very important topic. I've been leading the DEI in our district, that is 3142. And initially it was a bit of confusion. What are we supposed to do? What exactly we would like to do? And how do we motivate the clubs to include what was expected of us? But slowly and steadily with exchange of ideas, we've understood the way it should be. And there are many clubs in our district who have admitted members from the other communities, that is LGBTQ. There have been clubs who have done a lot of work with them. Especially, I would like to mention here a few clubs where they have done projects to empower those people who have been neglected by our community for so long. And they have given them vocational training in doing certain things so that they can earn for themselves. We have asked people to include them in their daily, the offices, so that they get a life of dignity and they are accepted in the mainstream of the community. And it's very heartening to see that they have also accepted what we are doing and what we have done for them. Very happily, they have accepted actually, doing something for their own living rather than the other way. So, yeah, or I mean, resorting to other things. So it's like they make soaps. They have learned through the baking classes, and they provide cakes and pastries across the counters. My club has been, taking things from them which they have prepared. So in a way, we are creating a market for all the things that they make. And this is the way we are trying to help them to find a place of respect in our community. But yes, there may be a lot of things which we would like to exchange and get, ourselves also empowered with the idea of DEI from past RI Director Valerie, and who is the right person to guide us and motivate us to keep doing the good work that we have done this year. And I hope that this continues for a longer time, because 1 year will not be sufficient to actually take them into our mainstream. Moreover, what we have been trying to do is also to motivate our clubs and give a platform to those members who have not got a chance to express their feelings, express their ideas and thoughts in the club, because that also is equally important. It is equally important for us to involve our own club members in the mainstream of whatever the club is doing, maybe in the meetings, maybe in the programs, or in the projects that we do. So though we are concentrating on the people who are not part of our club so far, we are also trying to involve all the club members in the who are there, whose presence is there, but probably not given a chance to actually come into the mainstream of the club activities also. So this is what we have been doing, and we would love to understand more from past RI Director Valerie. Over to you, and thank you. I welcome each one of you. It's happening to see so many people. I think I should give my time, whatever it is. We would definitely like to hear Valerie rather than anybody else. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Dr. Leena Lokras. Sorry, am I to go on, President Sandeep?
Yeah, Vijayji is DG there, Kailash is there. Hello.
Kailash will join later. Valerie, you can continue, please.
Okay, so yeah, Valerie, you can continue, please. You can start your.
Okay.
First of all, but Vijay, should I ask Reed to introduce? For
Yeah,
introduction?
that's what I said.
1 minute. Huh? So thank you, Dr. Leena Lokras-ji. I request now President Reed from Rotary Club of Thane Imperials to introduce today's guest speaker. President Reed.
Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to everyone over here. I'm highly privileged to do the introduction of today's chief guest, Valerie Wafer, Rotary International Director 2020-22, Rotary International Vice President 2022. Valerie Wafer joined Rotary in 2005 in order to fuel her passion for making an impact that matters. Valerie was District Governor of RI District 7070, covering the Greater Toronto area in 2013 and 14. Now residing in Burlington, her home club is the Rotary Club of Burlington Lakeshore, RI District 7080. Valerie has served Rotary in a number of international roles. She is an international trainer, a member of Host Organizing Convention Committee Toronto 2018, representative of the Rotary International President, a past RI director, appointed vice president in the year 2022, currently serving as the International Assembly moderator for the years 2023 and 24. During Valerie's tenure as a Rotarian, she has participated and led many initiatives, including a mission to Kosovo with Gift of Life International. She has also served as the vocational training team leader to Australia in 2013, focusing on youth mental health, a national immunization day in India in 2012, and has traveled to Kenya and Tanzania to audit long-term Rotary Foundation grant activity. In her non-Rotary life, Valerie had a 27-year career as a restaurant owner in Toronto. The brand Tim Hortons is the most recognized and iconic franchisee in Canada. The Wafer's operation was best known for its inclusive hiring practices and accessibility, especially in the area of employment. As the chair of Rotary International Global DEI Task Force, Valerie brings a strong background of learned and lived experience to this important topic. Valerie and her husband of 36 years, Mark, are Paul Harris Fellows, Bequest Society members, and major donors to the Rotary Foundation. I welcome today's chief guest, Valerie Wafer. Thank you.
Thank you for that introduction, Reed. That was really kind of you. And thank you, past President Vijay, for the kind invitation to be with you virtually from Toronto to District 3142. This is such a small world that we get to greet each other in this virtual environment. And I believe that Vijay and I met when I was speaking on this subject in Kingston, Jamaica, of course, virtually. So it's great to be with you today. I send warm greetings to each of you and recognize all club and district leadership as introduced by Rotary Club of Thane Titans President Sandeep previously. So all protocols recognized. Thank you so much, Dr. Leena Lokras, for the introduction of what your District 3142 has been working on this year in DEI. And honestly, I could turn the stage over to you for your comments because they really reflect what we're hoping that our clubs and districts are embarking on in this DEI journey. But I want to begin by thanking each person that's here with us today for the vital role that you are playing in making our organization and our communities and our world more inclusive, more equitable, and more adaptable to sustainable positive change. And that's really the key. It's not a one-year program. It's not a program. It's not a project. We're looking for that sustainable positive change that we're going to see. And I think Dr. Leena hit on that when she said that she wants to see this continue. It's so important to realize that our collective voices and our advocacy that we all play every day is crucial to make our communities, but really Rotary thrive in this century and in the next. And when we look at our origin of Rotary, we know that we were built with diversity in mind. Diversity is one of our core values. And I want to share two particular statements that our founder, Paul Harris, made. An important thing is to think about the years that these statements were made. So the first one was in 1934, when Paul Harris said, and I quote, "Man has affinity for his fellow man, regardless of race, creed, or politics, and the greater the variety, the more the zest. All friendliness needs is a sporting chance, and it will take care of itself in any company," end quote. And at the 1940 convention, our founder, Paul Harris, as well said, and I quote, "I have no hesitation in saying that world peace could be achieved and made permanent if reared upon Rotary's firm foundation of friendliness, tolerance, and usefulness." So that was a pretty incredible time in our world. It was time of war, and Paul Harris, at that growing Rotary in the world, recognized that we were stronger than when we could be together and recognize each of our values and everything that we bring. So regardless of the terms we use, whether it's diversity, equity, inclusion, it's peace, it's friendship, comfort and care, belonging, or leadership, we know that diversity, equity, and inclusion are a basic human right. And at Rotary, we have no tolerance for racism, bias, bigotry, or discrimination. And given our deep commitment to promoting peace and social justice, we know that in this journey, we need to do our part to increase global understanding and to foster that important dialogue and conversation. Promoting diversity, advocating for inclusion and belonging, as well as working to create social justice and equity, are not political acts. And that commitment is embedded in our past actions. We know that Rotary has been involved in establishing our Institutes of International Understanding in the 1930s, to our involvement in the United Nations, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948, and our critical role in the formation of the UN system and the work of our peace centers today. That's our peace commitment to the world. And at Rotary, we understand that cultivating a diverse, equitable, and inclusive culture is essential to realizing our vision of a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change, which is our vision statement. It's also important to understand that everyone is unique. We have 8 billion people in the world, and that's 8 billion individual and unique souls. We have so many similarities, but it's amazing to realize that each one of us is different in our own way. And each of us have visible and invisible diverse characteristics and qualities, defining who we are with our history, our experience, and our teachings. Now, you might be able to see me sitting in front of you in this Zoom screen, but if you can't, I'm going to give you a visual description. I'm a white woman with white hair and blue eyes. What you can't see is that I'm the mother of 2 beautiful daughters. I'm the grandmother to 2 wonderful grandchildren. My first is Claire, who just turned a year last month. And my second grandchild, Dara, a young little boy who was born in April. And I can tell you that being a grandparent is the best change in my life. It's incredible. I have Ukrainian heritage. I grew up as a middle child, and I lost my mother to suicide when I was 25 and she was 45 years of age. Now, these invisible qualities define who I am. They define how I show up, how I make decisions, the path I took in education, in my career, and in the choice of my partner, who I met when I was 16. Embracing our individual differences and uniqueness allows us to always show up as our true, authentic selves, to be valued for our thoughts and our contributions. Now, I'm going to share a story with you, but I can tell you that it's so in line with what Dr. Lena just shared with us. And that is that we have to get to know our club members before we reach out and invite those who currently aren't with us. So let me share this story. I was speaking to a large club in North America, And it was on Zoom. It was during the pandemic. And I was speaking on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And it was a lunchtime meeting. So everybody had to rush back to work. But a few of us stayed behind on Zoom to continue the conversation. And after a few minutes, everyone was kind of sharing their experiences. A Rotarian, a Black Rotarian spoke up. And he shared with us a very personal and impactful message. After 15 years of being a Rotarian in this club with his fellow members, his Rotary family, he never felt 100% accepted. And he never felt he could express his concerns or feelings. He thought he would be judged. And he saw many other minority members join Rotary only to leave in the first couple of years. But this conversation that we're having today in our clubs and in our districts gave him the courage to speak up. And as I looked at his face on that Zoom screen, I could see the emotion. And I could see initially he was really hesitant to speak up and to share because it was personal, it was emotional, but it was also extremely brave. And again, as I looked around the screen, I could see the look on the members' faces of the club that he had been a member of for 15 years, because the surprise and the empathy was visible on all of their faces. They hadn't intentionally excluded this man and his culture. They'd simply never asked. And I get it. You know, they were probably, as we all are, really uncomfortable asking personal questions that are sensitive. But we need to get comfortable being uncomfortable, as long as our intentions are respectful and the intention is to get to know each other better. And his bravery to speak at that moment is exactly how the culture of belonging begins. It's how we begin to overcome our unconscious bias. That true, intentional, respectful conversation, which is a wonderful opportunity to get to know each other better, our fellow members, creating that safe space with intention, where we're comfortable asking and answering those questions that perhaps prevented us from understanding who we are, understanding who each other's culture, religion, or family situation. That's the friendship in Rotary, and it's a really special commodity. We do need to recognize that inclusion and equity are a journey, and it's not always going to be easy. It's going to take constant personal correction and self-awareness and that openness to learn. And we will make mistakes. But as I said, if our intention is respectful and we learn from those missteps, the retention of our members will improve. And the message that it'll send to the community will attract others to join us and want to be part of this incredible organization. Now, Rotary has made growing and diversifying our membership a top priority. It's to make sure that we do reflect the communities we serve and that we're inclusive of all cultures, experiences, and identities. And this is our commitment as an organization. And when we speak of Rotary, we shouldn't narrow our focus to our club, but rather our Rotary experience. In many cultures, and certainly with many generations, we each look for experience that suits our needs, our interests, and best utilizes our time and talent. And the great thing is today, we have the flexibility and the number of times we meet formally or informally, and the ability to substitute traditional meetings with hands-on service in our community, with organizations in our community and partnerships. As Paul Harris said, this is a changing world and we have to be prepared to change with it. You know, the model that worked 100 years ago may not work in our region. And in more recent history, the model we used before COVID may need to change as well. I can tell you that when we conduct our global member surveys through Rotary International, the number one reason our members leave Rotary is club experience or club culture. That's belonging, right? That we can call it DEI, we can call it belonging, we can call it friendship, but it comes down to club culture and feeling welcome. We're so good, really, at asking people to join Rotary, but we don't do a great job of really following up and mentoring. How does that member show up? And what do they need to succeed? What is their passion? What is their value or experience that they're looking for in Rotary? Because without mentorship or conversations like this, they might not be aware of the opportunities in Rotary, and then they stop attending meetings, and we don't always follow up. And that's the comfort and care of Rotary. Again, we may not call it diversity, equity, inclusion. We may call it comfort and care. We may call it belonging. Now, let me tell you a story about belonging, actually. As a result of our DEI global survey that we launched in 2021, our members responded. One of the key takeaways was they indicated they would not recommend Rotary to someone with a disability. So let me tell you about Pearl. Excuse me. Pearl is a member from the Caribbean, and she's a member of the highest legislative power of her country. She's a member of the Senate. In fact, she was a former head of the Senate in her country. Pearl was born blind, and she always knew of Rotary because she was the recipient of Rotary support as a child. The weeks away at summer camp, as well as many other altruistic programs led by Rotary, designed to improve the lives of children with disabilities. As an adult, Pearl was never asked to join Rotary. So this successful politician was well known and well regarded for her incredible leadership, but the local clubs saw barriers to her membership rather than the opportunities and the benefit of her joining Rotary. And we think about it, Pearl shows up every day in her life, and she brings a skill set most of us don't have. She has an alternate, innovative way of thinking and accomplishing tasks because she has to. Now, Pearl is a Rotarian today because a member and a good friend invited her, had a conversation with her and asked, "What do you need to participate?" That's it. It's that simple. Just ask the person. Embrace Pearl and all of her differences and open up the door, because there are so many other Pearls out there. Invite them to join Rotary. We will be stronger for it. So let's just think, could a person with a disability walk into a club and see themselves represented? This is a huge opportunity for us in Rotary, and it's so much more than physical plant, about ramps or elevators. It's so much more. Accessibility is so much more than inviting a person in a wheelchair, because there's so many invisible disabilities that we need to take into account. And we have an aging Rotary population, and any of us could fall into that demographic tomorrow from aging or an accident. So a sense of belonging is a key outcome of inclusion. Now, I just want to spend a little bit of time talking about the commitment from leadership in Rotary International. And I want to tell you that both boards, the Rotary International Board and the Foundation trustees, are committed to this journey. And as you know, in 2020, they established the DEI task force, which I am so honored to work with an incredible group of leaders, Rotarians and non-Rotarians with professional DEI experience or lived experience. And I've had the honor to chair this incredible team since its inception. And as Dr. Lena Locust said, we didn't know where to begin, just like many of our districts, our clubs, and we began with a blank sheet of paper. We recognized, though, that we needed to start at the beginning. We needed to understand who we were today before we could move forward on this journey and have some measurable outcomes tomorrow. So we launched that very first DEI survey to ask our members about their experiences, their perceptions, and their thought about diversity in Rotary. And the results of that survey, which is a great way to begin, gave us a snapshot to better understand not only where we are currently on this journey, but what opportunities we have to improve. And it also provided that baseline data of, where we were at that point in time in 2020. But I'm excited to also tell you that the DEI task force recently launched our second survey, and we look forward to the analytics that will be available by the end of this Rotary year. And we made sure that many of the questions on that second survey mirrored the first, so that we had comparisons to that baseline data now move away from anecdotal stories that we can share to real measurable data of where we are and how our members are making a difference in this journey. So I want to thank each of you who participated in this survey, and it's really critical to hear your voice and know that DEI looks different around the globe and can look different even across town. So it's really important that we don't listen to one voice, but we listen to all of our members. But the result of these listening exercises really help us develop an action plan. And it includes a roadmap so we can assist clubs and districts to manage this culture change by creating a narrative on why there's a benefit for clubs to change, providing regular communication to our members to ensure a consistent message, and to provide our leaders and Rotary representatives a guide with talking points to make sure that we're all on the same page and know that we can respond to some of the conversations, perhaps resistant, that we're seeing from some members, and how we can de-escalate some of the uncomfortable and difficult conversations that are happening around the globe. So our action plan includes looking at governance and accountability within our organization by engaging our RI directors and our Rotary Foundation trustees. And I can tell you that as a result of a recent RI board and trustee decision, the DEI task force will be operationalized as the joint DEI Advisory Council beginning July 1, 2023. So no longer will it be considered a project of Rotary. It will be considered a full-time advisory council that will be used as a resource to all of our standing committees in Rotary, to both of our boards, to our clubs, and to Rotary International staff to make sure that we aren't working in silos. Also, I'm really excited to say that I've been asked to be the chair of that advisory council for the next 2 years, because another part of the decision was that we're hiring a full-time position at Rotary International to help support this. And so as we transition to this operationalized advisory council, I will stay on as the chair, which is an incredible honor for me. This support and leadership at Rotary International is really critical, but I want to emphasize that policy and legislation never changes culture, whether we're talking about a corporation or whether we're talking about a membership-driven organization like our own. The change that's going to occur is going to happen at the club and district level. So it's important and impactful for the Global Task Force to be aware and learn, as I heard really from Dr. Lena, what's going on in District 3142 about the regional initiatives and the movements that's happening in the regional levels, because it's so important that we create a platform of sharing and collaboration in this journey. And that was one of the recommendations that the task force made right at the beginning, was to ask districts to consider forming a DEI committee at the district level. And so one of the things the advisory council is really looking forward to doing is to bring together these chairs, to share best practices, to share success stories and challenges, so that you can support each other and we can hear from you and others. So if you haven't submitted your DEI chair committee to Rotary International, I encourage you to do so, because that's how we know who these chairs are, so that we can reach out and bring them together. I can tell you that we are energized every time we hear stories that are happening in the district, and it really impacts the work that we do. And we, you know what, we recognize that we have a lot of work to do in Rotary. Younger people, women, and people who are part of marginalized group, we know that you have unique experiences that shape our perspectives in Rotary, and we need to bring these together to increase our ability to solve problems, because we know representation matters. And, you know, we know that this year we're celebrating our first woman president, fellow Canadian, Jennifer Jones. And I can't believe her year is coming to an end in just a couple of weeks. The following year, of course, President-elect Gordon McInally from Scotland has put an emphasis on mental health and continues to put an emphasis on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And following Gordon, we have our second woman president, Stephanie Urchik from the US. And Stephanie also is very committed to this journey. And it's so important that representation that we see in our leadership is there. Because, you know, I've had this conversation with so many people. How many women now feel that Rotary is a place that they can lead, that representation matters, not just with women, but all of those who are currently not in Rotary. But again, I want to emphasize that leadership doesn't begin at the district, zone, or international level. It begins at the grassroots level. It begins with the election of our club presidents. And if we're not intentional and inclusive in our election process, we may find ourselves once again with a board without representation, as we saw about 3 years ago. As women and men, we each have a responsibility to create that space for sharing experiences, mentoring, and encouraging women and young members and those who currently aren't in leadership to step up to leadership. We need to lead by examples, because our experiences are equal, but often our opportunities are not. So now is the time to reach out and engage new leaders, Rotarians and Rotaractors in meaningful positions. Mentor. It's so important, right? Ask members what they're passionate about, and then offer possibilities to grow and learn. I quite often get asked about my journey in Rotary, and I'm sure many leaders do, but my Rotary journey isn't unique. I didn't have an aspiration to be a leader, but when I said yes, it was because there was always somebody tapping me on the shoulder, asking me to take on roles and saying, I believe in you, you can do this, and I'm here to support you. And that's our role, everyone here today, or my call to action, is to recognize leadership in women, promote women, and tap them on the shoulder, tap those young members on the shoulder, tap those who aren't currently in leadership today and say, I believe in you. But don't leave it there. Make sure you follow through. Make sure you give them the tools that they need to succeed, and be there with them every step of the way. And let me just close by reminding us of our 4-way test. And let's remember that we stand for human rights, empowerment of girls, and peace. And if we all take steps, small steps, in the same direction, we will reflect our community, attract new members, and reflect what our current and prospective members want and expect from their Rotary experience. I'm going to just share one more Paul Harris quote from 75 years ago, because I think it's so important to recognize our history as the foundation of where we are today and where we could be tomorrow. And the quote is, may Rotarians continue to be ambassadors of goodwill to high and low, rich and poor, to all races, to all devotees of all religious faiths, and to members of all political parties, purveyors of tolerance, forbearance, justice, kindliness, neighborliness, and friendliness to the inhabitants of this snug little world, the best world of which we know. So thank you so much for being incredible leaders. And I hope you make DEI, peace, friendship, comfort, and care, and belonging part of your message and actions, and welcome your community to join you, because I know we are stronger for it. So let's imagine a more inclusive world and create hope for the generations to come. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Valerie, for your enlightening speech, guiding us, guiding the audience today regarding importance of DEI in Rotary. I would now request past President Vijay Kevalramani and our district treasurer to conduct question and answer session. Vijay ji.
Thank you,
Over to you.
Valerie. At the outset, let me thank you for accepting my request to join in, and it was a very inspirational talk. Friends, we will be opening for question and answers. Anybody who wishes to ask a question, please raise your hand. I will unmute you, and you can directly ask a question.
Your voice is very. You need to increase it.
I anybody who wishes to ask a question, friends, kindly raise your hands and I will unmute you and you can ask your question. I think the first one is from Dr. Ravi Kiran. Yeah, Dr. Ravi Kiran, please.
Yeah, good evening, fellow Rotarians. This is Dr. Ravi Kiran from Khargar Midtown Club 3131. I'm also part of DEI for district team, and I'm at the verge of completing my graduation for RLI trainer. So as a part of it, we have very wonderful knowledge hub that is learning center, as most of us aware of it, and some of us might not be aware of it. And if you look at that learning center, and there are ample of information about DEI, beautiful modules where like very user friendly, where a normal person can able to understand what is exactly they're talking about. And then if we can give the exams as well, so we'll get the certifications as well. If you do those kind of certifications, believe me, from the zero knowledge of DEI, so I able to elect into my district team in the DEI just because of this learning center. So my bottom point of saying is try to get into that learning center so that we'll get the knowledge about it. And this DEI, so recently it came up into the limelight, correct? So slowly, all the districts are trying to have the individual teams along with its directors. So my recommendation here to all the fellow Rotarians, to all the clubs, let's try to have one kind of sub-avenue in either of the portfolios that we have at the club level, so that, it might be a bit difficult to reach out to the club level by the district people. But whereas if you have the club representative for the DEI, then, the escalation and then, the deep penetration into the people would be very easy. That's it. This is what I would like to highlight. Thanks, man.
So if everybody can see the smile on my face, I'm going to tell you that when I started this journey 3 years ago, I would highlight that we have amazing resources on Rotary.org. I would tell you about all the resources that we produced as the DEI task force. But thank you, Dr. Ravi Kiran, for highlighting that the job that I no longer have to do, that our Rotarians in our clubs and districts are very aware of these resources, are using these resources and promoting these resources. This has absolutely just made my day. That I get more out of listening to what clubs and districts are doing than by answering questions. And I'm very open to answering questions, but I love the fact that I didn't have to highlight the resources and you did that yourself. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Dr. Reed, you can ask your question.
Can I?
Yeah.
So yeah, good evening. My question to you will be, how can we as a club create culture of inclusion? And if we do so, how can we make sure a positive outcome?
Well, thank you for the question. I think Dr. Lena really highlighted something that I speak of a lot of times. We welcome people in our clubs, but I think having someone with the role of DEI in your club to not only educate, whether it's using the learning center within your club, but also to encourage these opportunities to get to know each other. I've heard many stories, including the ones I shared with you, of a member who'd been in a club for 15 years who didn't feel they belonged or could share their everything, their true authentic self. But I've also heard stories of getting it wrong, where clubs feel that we're missing this demographic, so let's go out and find that token individual to join our club so we can check the box and say that we are diverse. And that is, I'll be honest with you, a recipe for disaster. If we get this wrong and we truly don't embrace that person's culture and who they are when they arrive and they leave, as we know members do, we know from experiences of a bad service in a restaurant or a store that story gets told many times in our community. And so we run the risk of even damaging our reputation as Rotarians in our small communities or our large communities when we have a new member come in or a guest come in and they have not had a positive experience, because that story will get told many times. So I really think that we need to start within our clubs and we get to know each other. And there's so many ways of doing that. I quite often encourage using the Learning Center almost like a book club, if you will, where you can assign a module of the Learning Center as homework and say, in our next meeting, we're going to come together and we're going to discuss unconscious bias, if that was the learning module that you all learned. And then really open up the conversation to what that module meant to you. Do you have experience in this area? Do you have some examples of things that have happened to you in the past? And it's just an honest, open conversation where we're all on the same page, sharing some personal experiences. But wow, wouldn't you get to know where people, how people show up and some of the things that have happened to them in the past? It's really just getting to know each other better. You can start with simple questions like, how many people are in your family? And just ask people questions that we just don't have the time for. We don't, unless we're sitting with the same people every day at our Rotary Club meeting. So I would encourage just more authentic conversations within our Rotary Club. And sometimes those are hard to begin and we don't know where to begin, but it's really, it doesn't have to be hard, but as long as you set that psychological safe space or that inclusive safe space where the intention is respectful. And you can even preface it, I'm coming from this angle from respect and love and compassion and care. I really want to get to know you. So my questions are not meant to be insulting. I really, and let me know if they are, right? Whether it's a question about your religion or your family or something like that. So it really, I think that's a really good place to start in our clubs, is just getting to know each other.
Thank you.
You want to say something again? Yeah, Lina, you can please.
I totally endorse what just Valerie said. In our club, Valerie, what we do is when a new member comes, we have a sort of introduction, which does not only include the name and the profession or the vocation or the family members. It includes overall, upbringing of the child, of that particular member. So there's a sort of interview. So we have that sessions saying that know your member. And then we invite the member, and there is some person who is sort of taking interview, and we are asking questions, personal likings. I won't say that they are not personal questions, but how was his upbringing, which school did he, and what was something that interested in he was interested in, and which he could not get. So probably these are small little things, but probably these things we may give a platform for them to open up and discuss their ideas, and something that they have not achieved but they wanted to do something. Somebody is there who wanted to sing a lot, but the parents, they always said, no, you have to only study, no singing, no other curricular activities. So maybe we give them a platform to do that in our Rotary, and we get to know that person so closely. Everybody will find something positive about the person, and that is how we started including. Plus, I think the willpower of that person whom we have invited is equally important. I have been the first lady Rotarian in my town since 1994. And for years together, I was the only lady Rotarian. Probably in the first 2 meetings that I had, I always felt like, just leaving the club and going, because I did not find anybody else, any female around. But my club members were so nice. They immediately made me feel so comfortable. And I thought when I was given a job, the president, the charter president, he said, okay, we give you vocational service. Will you be able to do it? I belong to a medical fraternity, and doing vocational was something that was very new to me. But I thought, okay, why not? It sounds good. And that's how I started my journey, and I kept going at it for a very long time. And it was only after about 12, 13 years that we had lady members in my club. So you can imagine the kind of, I did not face any negativity in my club. It was all positive. And I became the president in the very third year of the club, which was a very great experience. And that is how I have learned that, yes, your own willpower to be there and learn something new every day. Rotary teaches you something new every day. So that should also be there.
And I think I'm sure that what Dr. Lennon just described, we quite often in our clubs, when we have a new member, we call it here in North America, we call it a classification talk. And we've kind of morphed away from maybe what you do professionally to adding in a lot of those personal details. I can share with you that I recently moved residences. And so I am a fairly new Rotary Club member in the Rotary Club of Burlington Lakeshore, and I had to do my classification talk about 6 months ago. And I was showing up to the meetings and getting to know people. They didn't really know me because it's a different district as well. And after I did my classification talk, I can tell you, I felt like a member of the club because everyone came up to me and wanted to speak about something personal that I said about my family or about my journey. And so even as a long-term member in Rotary and a leader in Rotary, I felt a little odd. Maybe, you know, they welcomed me, but I didn't feel like I was part of them until I did that classification talk and they all engaged in conversation with me personally. And that made a big difference. The important part too is remember that we're bringing in new Rotary members all the time. And there's some great history and experience in our clubs that have been in our clubs for 10 and 15 years. We need to hear from them as well, right? It's really important to understand the history of our Rotary Club, some of the things we've done in our Rotary Club to orientate our new members, but also the people that they're sitting beside every single day that maybe have been in Rotary for 10 years that have some valuable mentorship opportunities, informal or formally, to provide those new members.
Any other question, if anybody has, please? Yeah, Dr. Ravi, please. Dr. Ravi, you want to say something again?
Valerie, it's me again. Few weeks ago, I was talking to a gentleman called Dr. Todd Jenkins. You must be aware of him. Yeah. So
of course, we work together.
Yeah. So I met him on one of the virtual meetings on this DI. He was one of the main speakers and then presenters in the learning center, whatever the courses that we have developed in DEI. I believe there are some nominations for the advisory board, right? Which will be opening up soon. So how would we get the information about that?
So the wonderful thing about transitioning, so let me just back up. The DEI task force was a result of a board decision in 2020. And the reason I was asked to be the chair is because I was currently on the board. So the board, the chair was a board member and the vice chair was a board member. And then we took the time through an application process to nominate. We were limited to 9 people. And so we wanted to make sure that we had reflection globally, as well as representation of demographics, so that we were able to advance some of the regional perspectives of DEI. So the members of the task force have been the same since the inception. We have added a person with a disability, which we didn't have at the beginning. We didn't have anyone apply with a disability, which kind of lends to my comments about the fact that people with disabilities aren't necessarily in Rotary. So the idea now of transitioning to an advisory council is that if you're already aware, we as Rotarians get to apply openly for standing committees with Rotary International. And I believe it goes out at the beginning of July with a deadline of August the 15th. So there's a number of openings that come up in our standing committees every year. And depending on your professional qualifications or your experience, you can apply for these committees. And the recommendations are given to the president-elect to make nominations for these committees. Now the DEI Advisory Council will be part of that open application process beginning this year for appointments for July 1, 2024. So we have a few new members joining the Advisory Council in the interim before we go to open application process. They will be announced very soon. They have been chosen, but the open application process for 2024 will begin in the new Rotary year.
All right. So any from where we get these notifications? Any
So keep your eye out on the Rotary magazine. I believe the announcement goes in the Rotary magazine as well as Rotary.org. It'll tell you when the applications are open for which committees have openings.
Sure. Appreciate it. Thank you.
PDG Shamashri, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to speak to Valerie about the fact that when I joined Rotary in 1993, I was the only woman in that club. It was a newly formed club, and it was very difficult because they were all elderly men, and they would think that the club secretary was the go-to person for running errands. And from there to becoming a DG, the first time when I tried to be a DG, I was told that, you know what, we don't want women in the Council of Governors. And from there, this year in India, we have 7 lady district governors. I think we're doing very well. But the thing is that this kind of putting the women in one place is something that is just not going out, because there are so many umpteen clubs which are all ladies clubs. And I committed one crime when in 1617, when I was governor, a whole group of ladies, about 50 of them, wanted to join and make a Rotary club. But they said, we can't work with men because our family members will not allow. So there is this culture, of course, but I think we need to now start, allowing others to join a club and not make it just an all ladies club. It's much, given a lot of speciality when such a club happens, and the current district governor will say, oh, I have an all ladies club. But I think that doesn't actually subscribe to DEI. How do we change this?
Well, you're absolutely right. I'm not a fan of all lady clubs or all men clubs. I mean, we quite often get the comment or the question, what are we going to do about those all men clubs who won't allow women into Rotary? And, frankly, we're not going to pull their charter. If there are parts of the world where culture certainly plays a role, there's all men clubs, even in North America, where culture really isn't playing a role. They just are digging their heels in and they don't want women to join. My view and other leaders view this as these clubs will literally, in North America, they will literally die out. When the men age out and they're not attracting diverse members, then they will simply go away. So sometimes it is important that we start new clubs, new inclusive clubs. But we also have to consider those who haven't been traditionally welcomed in Rotary, whether it's marginalized communities, whether it's people with disabilities, whether it's women. And so you mentioned that culture doesn't allow these women to perhaps be in clubs with men. So to me, that is an opportunity for these women to begin their own club and to serve Rotary in the way that they can serve Rotary. Otherwise, they're not serving Rotary at all because they're not accepted. Yes. And eventually we see that mindset change. We see the integration of these women clubs in district activities, for example, in service projects. And so then, when we start to see that integration and inclusion, we start to change the mindsets of the power of different perspectives that we each bring to Rotary. So sometimes it's not the optimal way. Sometimes it's not the inclusive way. But sometimes there's clubs that are formed for just with people with disabilities who want to advance accessibility and the conversation of people with disabilities joining Rotary. And so, no, a true inclusive environment would be that we have all people in our Rotary clubs. That's the strongest. That's our superpower, right? That's where we are the best we could possibly be. But sometimes we need to take baby steps to get there. And so I would rather see people serve in Rotary in any capacity that they can, with the idea that the voices around them and the advocates around them continue this conversation of inclusion and equity, and we will get there, right? So I agree with you. It's not the optimal, but sometimes it's the steps we need to take.
And I feel proud to say that the club that I had formed, they call themselves the Avyanas. Avyanas mean very strong women. So they have every single year that they have been in Rotary, they have served so well that they've got the RI President citation every year. So they're very proud. So they're very committed to their work and everything. They do everything in order. You know how women are. They must have everything in the right places, done at the right time. I just hope that one day they will turn around and take a couple of people who are not women, and then perhaps, you know, the change will come in. That's all. Doesn't.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'll take a couple of more questions. Last question. Jalaja, yes, please.
Warm greetings to all of you. I am Jalaja Menon from Rotary Club of Thane, Albania. I would like to share a few experiences from my presidential year. I was the first member to be inducted in my club, and right now there are more than 20 out of 45, more than 20 members are women. And in my presidential year, I formed an all-women BOD group. Initially, I found that the women were not very confident in giving me approvals for the various projects. But later on, I made an informal group of the men as well as women, so that when I shared the projects, the men used to react to it. And looking at that, the women used to learn how things went. And by the end of this, my presidential year, my women members have become more confident and more knowledgeable of how Rotary works. So initially, though I found a little problem in this, now I'm happy that all the women members are also more educated in the Rotary terms, Rotary the way Rotary works. So I'm proud to say that I have been able to bring up the women members ahead, and I'm sure in the future years there will be more women leaders in my club. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jalaja.
Congratulations. You know, we also have to remember that Rotary is a leadership organization, and so we all grow in our experience in Rotary, and that's fantastic. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Last question from Suresh. Yeah, Suresh, you can ask.
Yep. Hi. Thank you so much, Valerie, for that, for your speech. I just wanted to share a story regarding an all ladies club. I was in Taiwan. I made a call from the UK to Taiwan that I'm coming and I would like to attend the meeting. So the lady on the other end said, sure, we meet on a Friday, we meet at the Sheraton. So I said, okay, I'll be there. When I got there, I paid my fees to get in. And she says, do you really want to join our club meeting? So I said, why not? Yes, I do, because I made the call. She says, we are an all-female club. And do you still want to join? So I said, yes. So I got into this hall and there were 150 ladies in this hall attending the meeting. And I was the only male. And can you believe it? The meeting was for 2 hours and it was all in Chinese. And the ladies I was sitting next to had translated every single word of what was being said. And when I left the meeting, my wife, who was not a Rotarian then, had asked me, so how was it? I said, well, I did not understand a single thing, but it was nice to see so many ladies in one room without any male companion. So that was it.
You know what I love about your story, Suresh, is that they welcomed you openly. because we hear the opposite sometimes when a lady is trying to visit a all-male club. Quite often they're turned away from the door. So I love the fact that they made you feel welcome and they interpreted for you. I think that's wonderful.
It was a good meeting though. Oh well.
Last question now, please. Bridji, you are last. Mr. Brisetti, please.
Yeah, good evening, friends. I bring greetings from District 3131. Let me introduce myself. My name is Bridge. I am currently DEI chair for the next 3 years. Prior to this, I was DMC for 3 years. I want to just share a few random thoughts with the group, since this is one of the first meetings I am attending. When I was given this assignment by the governor, first few months, me and my team, who were all senior Rotarians, we spent figuring out what is DEI all about. I thought that maybe I can get some guidelines from some of the past governors. So I went to one of them and I said, boss, this is the new area. Governor has assigned me this responsibility. Can you guide me? What is it all about? I was surprised. He asked me, he says, look, D stands for district. I don't know what is E&I. So that was the starting point for me. We have covered a lot of distance thereafter. To me, I think diversity for Rotary is nothing new. When Paul Harris started in 1905, he was an advocate. The easiest thing for him was to take 4 more friends, advocates, and form a club. But what did he do? He took a cloth merchant, he took a mechanical engineer, he took a cloth merchant, and he made a diverse club from day one. So diversity should not be new for Rotarians. That is one. Secondly, I think we carry a huge handicap. When I talk of handicap, the men and women, they are 50-50 across the globe. As far as Rotary is concerned, first 74 years, we were men's only club. It took us 74 years and some battle in which went to Supreme Court before the first lady Rotarian came on the scene. And it took us another 40 years before we have the first lady president. So, to me, it appears that first and foremost, our current ratio of women Rotarians in the district is 24%. So I want to work on that area and bring this 24 gradually to close to 50%. I also understand RI has set themselves a target that by 2050, they want to have gender parity. That almost 50-50. Now, in this respect, my own thoughts are that most of us here are senior citizens, most of us, I'm not saying everybody. So our thought process is, not as advanced as it is with the youngsters. Why I'm saying is, if you look at the Rotractors and you look at the demography of the Rotractors, it is 49 and 51%. So they don't carry any baggage. They are almost 50-50. Valerie, I have an assumption. I want you to either endorse it or correct me. To me, it appears that DEI once implemented, this is going to open the barrier, which is there for last 27, 28 years, that Rotary population is stuck at 1.2 million. We are going up and down every year. We add thousands and thousands leave, etc., etc. But DEI once implemented in true spirit, in terms of diversification, in terms of equity and inclusion, we will be able to open this barrier, which will take us forward from 1.2 to 1.3, 1.5, whatever. So what do you think about it?
I think that certainly you've come a long way from understanding that the D doesn't stand for district and where you are today. So congratulations. Yeah. You're absolutely right. I mean, one of the reasons I quote Paul Harris in my speeches a lot is because it's exactly how we were formed. It's exactly who we are. It's why it is our value. The world is changing and the world is a small place and we need to reflect that. I come from a country that is very diverse in Canada. Parts of North America want to politicize this, and it is not a political issue. It's a human rights issue, and it's. I also say it's not a membership drive. If you remember the story I told, it's about the comfort and care of our current members.
Right.
It's about the retention of our current members. But you're right about our Rotaractors, and you're right about the next generation, where the world is a small place and media is available at the touch of their fingers every single day. They know what's happening in society all the time, and they're demanding change. And there's going to be people who push back, because to some, this change is happening very quickly. And I believe the young generation are the future that is going to make this happen in a much relatively quicker fashion than we've seen probably over the last number of decades. And that's a good thing. But it's not going to come without some pushback and without some difficult conversations. But I believe that our organization needs to remain relevant to that generation. As you said, Brith, that I'm not quite a senior citizen, but I might have white hair, but many of us are, and we won't be around 30 years from now. So where's our organization going to be if it's not for the next generation who believe in our values, who believe in the four-way test, who believe in our service, and who believe in our fellowship? And so we're not doing it just for the next generation. We're doing it because it's where society is today, where we need to be, where we perhaps needed to be a while ago. But this, as I said, is not a project of Rotary. It is our values. It's where we need to be. So you're absolutely right that it's not even the stepping stone for Rotary. It is the history of Rotary, and it's the history we need to fulfill going forward in order to be here for the next 120 years.
Thank you.
Thank you. We welcome our District Governor Kailash Jethani. And Valerie, we would request him to say a few words. He has just come from a charter presentation of a new club. So Kailash, please, all yours. You are on unmute. You can.
Good evening, Kailash. We welcome our District Governor Kailash Jethani ji. So Kailash ji, say a few words. You're waiting.
Yeah, thank you.
To address this.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. I could not attend the start, and I could not attend Valerie Wafer's address because I was installing a new club. But I do welcome all the clubs, all the Rotarians who have come for this wonderful meeting. My greetings to Valerie Wafer for for coming to District 314, though virtually, not physically, but I'm sure that it would have been a great experience for all the people who are attending. I congratulate all the presidents involved, in particular the president of Rotary Club of Thane Titans, Sandeep Dhotre, and all the clubs who are involved, all the presidents of the clubs from Thane. I congratulate them for this wonderful meeting. It reminds me of a meeting that we had called our RI president. She was the president-elect then, Jennifer Jones. And I'm sure that people must have been really excited today, the way they were the day we had Jennifer Jones coming for a Zoom meeting for this 314. So my best wishes to everybody. Right now, it's too noisy out here. People are just out of the function and they'll be going out for dinner. So I will have to excuse myself from this meeting, but I wish everybody all the best of the next 13 days. I take this opportunity to invite everybody to attend the district Thanksgiving event, the Mahalo. I'm sure that we will together enjoy and celebrate the success that we have had in this the fabulous year. Thank you.
Thank you, Kailash, for your address to today's audience. I would now request club presidents who have any announcements to make today. One by one, they can raise their hands and make the necessary announcement if they have. In the meanwhile, I'll make first announcement for my club that we have a next meeting on 24th of June, wherein we are installing our president-elect, Nandakumar Photane. It's in the afternoon at Satkar Residency. Any other club president would like to make any announcements? Yeah, Jalaja, please come ahead. Yeah.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have two projects in the next 2 weeks. The first project is the district grant project, which is for Happy School. We'll be providing some computers, fans, and cupboards to the school, which is a municipal school here in Thane. And the second project is distributing umbrellas to the economically backward women in and around our Thane itself, Majivada Junction. So that will be the two main projects in the next 2 weeks. I think these are the two concluding weeks of Fab year. So I'm sure it will be great for our club. Thank you.
Thank you, Jalaja.
Thank
Come
you.
on. Yeah, Reet, you can make your announcement, Reet.
Reet, you have to make an announcement?
Yeah, Reet, you can make an announcement if you have any.
Yes, I have one. So on 24th of June, we have an event which comes under basic education and literacy. It's education yesterday, today, and tomorrow. We have around 74 schools of Thane participating, and it's at Vihangs Inn. The time is 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Thank you.
Before we forget, I would like to welcome past District Governor Dolly Eve from District 3310. Welcome, Dolly. Yes, Sandeep, we can move ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Now I would request President Amit. Amit is there. Amit Hanamgar of Rotary Club of Navi Mumbai Palm Beach to present online certificate to our today's guest speaker, Valerie.
Amit is not there. I will just show the certificate. Just hold on.
I request you to.
Yeah. Just give me 1 minute.
We're not able to hear you, Vijayji. Voice is not.
Yeah, just give me 1 minute. Valerie, as a token of appreciation for you joining us on behalf of the District 3142 and on behalf of our DG, on behalf of our convener DEI, Lina, and on behalf of all the presidents who have joined in, we would like to present you a certificate of appreciation which reads as under: this is presented to PRID Valerie Wafer for enlightening us on the topic Diversity, Equity and Inclusion on Friday 16 June 2023, signed by DG Kailash Jethani, Convener Lina Lokras, President Sandeep Dhotre, President Sagar, President Amit, President Shankar, President Nushad, President Reet, President Ajay, President Jalaja, President Sushma, President Manish Wadhwa, President Deepa and President Dinesh Shah. Valerie, we will be mailing you this certificate. I will be mailing it to you tomorrow. And
thank you, Vijay. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Vijayji. So now I request today's convener, Dr. Lina Lokras, to kindly give vote of thanks. Lina ji.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Yeah,
it was a great evening, well spent with Valerie here, and whatever we have spoken and we've exchanged ideas for the last maybe an hour. It was really enriching, and I'm very sure that this particular DEI will be carried on, and we've all, as of course, we all know that there is everything is there on rotary.org, but when we have this in person, though it is on Zoom platform, but still, when we have this exchange of thought, probably the things sink in a better way, because then this is a platform where we can ask questions, get ourselves clarified on certain issues. So it's always good to have a speaker session, especially from the likes of Valerie. Thank you so much, Valerie, for empowering us with your knowledge and being there and educating us on the different aspects of DEI. As we had discussed, I would also say that I'm not a great supporter of all women's club. This is just my point of view, of course. Since we have, if you remember that it was years back that the women fought to get into Rotary, and now we say no, we want an all women's club. I think that would be asking for too much. Let us, we can rub shoulders with the men. We are equals. We always say that we are equals. So why not have be a part of a mixed club where we have equal number of males and women coming together. Both have their own ways of thinking, of doing work, and probably the energies put together, we will have a better world. And thank you, Vijay, for making this happen. Thank you for inviting Valerie for all of us. Thank you, Sandeep, for hosting this meeting, and all the co-host presidents. So supporting this particular meeting. Thank you so much. And I would love to meet you again, Valerie, whenever possible. Definitely, we will keep meeting. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leena ji, Dr. Leena. Now I would like to adjourn the meeting and we can continue with the fellowship. Thank you all.